You're listening to MinerTalk on demand exclusively on 600 ESPN El Paso. Stay up to date with MinerTalk by downloading the free 600 ESPN El Paso mobile app. All right, we are live. MinerTalk is here. 600 ESPN El Paso on all social media channels. That is 600 ESPN El Paso on air, online, and wherever you check us out on podcast channels. Angel Munoz producing the show. Angel, do you mind recording this one as well for us as well? Let's get this one underway and let's do this one right. 600 ESPN El Paso in our Schoolyard Sports studios right now. River Oaks Properties as well, and it is Miner Talk time. We are here. We are live. We are presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency. We had a fantastic pregame show at the District West. It was fantastic. Packed the house. And Miner fans got a chance to watch UTEP flip the script in the second half and win the game today, 28-14 against Incarnate Word. Some things stand out to me right away. Number one, they held Incarnate Word to just 70 yards of total offense in the second half. That's beyond impressive right there. I mean, that defense was stifling in the second half, did not allow Zach Calzada, the quarterback for Incarnate Word, to throw for really anything in the second half, and limiting them to under 100 yards out of the second half after, they allowed over 200 in the first half. Really impressive by the UTEP defense in the way that they were able to clamp down. First half, 238 yards of offense from Incarnate Word. Second half, just 70. Now, when you flip that over to UTEP's side of things, they were about as ground and pound and as vanilla as you can imagine. 329 rushing yards on the ground for the UTEP Miners. They also had, they converted 6 of 9 on third down conversions. They totaled 25 first down plays, and UTEP averaged 6.7 yards per play. It was a strong second half. I mean, that's the bottom line. UTEP really needed that second half performance in order to win this one. It was close at the beginning, but nonetheless, UTEP evened things up on their own record, and they are now 1-1 on the season, heading into a Power 5 matchup at Northwestern next Saturday. Let's get the phone started up right. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009. We're also available 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. That's 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. I've thrown out some flyers out to a couple UTEP personalities, I should say, those who are in attendance tonight, and it's going to be a good one tonight. I'm really excited. It's the first edition of Miner Talk here in El Paso after a home game, and we are doing this here following UTEP Incarnate Word. 80s night was tonight. The Hall of Fame inductees were honored at halftime. Most specifically, the 1988 team was highlighted and recognized and honored. Really cool to see them honored today. And I know a lot of fans were really fired up about that as well. Our telephone number to get things started here on the show, 915-505-6009 to get into the show. 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. That's 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. A couple other things to highlight from this victory for the Miners. Number one, Deion Hankins, career day, 24 rushing attempts, 174 yards on the ground. He was outstanding. How about the other two who had prolific nights as well from the UTEP run game? Torrance Burgess Jr., 10 carries, 85 rushing yards, and a touchdown. How about Mike Franklin as well? 9 rushing attempts, 53 rushing yards on the ground, and a touchdown as well. 329 total rushing yards from the UTEP running game, and that was really, really impressive. So let's definitely do it. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009, and we're also available 600 ESPN El Paso wherever you are on social media. Big shout out to the district for hosting us tonight. Big shout out to all our sponsors here on Miner Talk. We'll get to our hot hand of the game, brought to you by Wind Supply El Paso. Our drive of the game, thanks to New Start Homes, and we'll talk also about our other sponsors, including 915 Tours, who is back with us again for another season here on Miner Talk. But we're presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency. In fact, the Oscar Arieta Agency has been awesome all season long, and they are getting things started off right at the UTEP football games. In fact, they have had a great giveaway with UTEP star pass rusher Praise Ameule. They actually had at their booth a chance to win Praise Ameule signed gloves, and that is with the UTEP star pass rusher. Just a really cool thing that they did at their booth. They also have giveaways going on right now. RiseUp915.com is where you can check out the Oscar Arieta Agency, the presenting sponsors here on Miner Talk. UTEP defeats Incarnate Word 28-14. Our telephone number 915-505-6009, also available at 600 ESPN El Paso, wherever you are on social media. We've got JT on the lines. We got Josh on the lines. We're going to get to them in just a bit. Let's go to Twitter real quick. 600 ESPN El Paso on social media right now. Again, that is 600 ESPN El Paso social media. David Castro posts into the show. Well, let's not sugarcoat it. We needed that win. Run game was impressive. Still concerned about the passing game long-term when Tyron can't get open. A win is a win, but we have to win on the road and win conference games at Matt Castro. And then again, this is coming from David Isaac on social media. This is coming in from UTEP, Texas Western, El Paso. Get ready. If you haven't seen your feed, hashtag MinerTalk. He's fired up about the show here to get things started. And also Eddie Morelos checking in early at the Mayor LC. Now it's time for hashtag MinerTalk with my homie Adrian Broadus on 600 ESPN El Paso. Hey, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's get things started right on the phone lines right now. JT is going to get things started. Jadrian, and this is actually Jadrian Taylor, former UTEP standout pass rusher, who's calling in to the show. Thank you so much for calling in, JT. I saw you sideline with your jersey, number 11. How's everything going, man? What'd you think of UTEP's victory tonight?
Hey, that was a good win. Like you said, we needed that. We definitely needed that. We had to bounce back. Last game was definitely a heartbreaking loss, man. Heartbreaking loss. But it's not how you lose, it's what you do afterwards. So if you bounce back, I mean, nobody. If you go win it all, who's gonna care about that one loss?
That's right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you continue to string along wins, JT, I'll tell you this: UTEP goes to Chicago next week. They beat Northwestern. Everybody will forget about that first week loss to Jacksonville State. No one will remember that one because everybody's just circling UTEP's first ever Power 5 win, and they have a chance next week against a Northwestern program that's going through a lot of things behind the scenes and went through it all off season long. They play their first game tomorrow, actually.
And I got us beating them, man. I got us beating them. I think the score going to be 21-14. I think we're going to win that one.
Wow.
It's like, that's just me.
I like it. Hey, tell me a little bit about the defense. Tyrese Knight, 16 total tackles. That's his career best. He killed it. I mean, he absolutely the second most tackles he's had in a game came in the Fresno State loss in the New Mexico Bowl back in 2021. But tonight, Tyrese Knight was on another level. He also had a sack and 2.5 tackles for losses. What'd you notice from the defense, especially in the second half, clamping down and shutting out that Incarnate Word team?
So I got there in the second second quarter, about to be halftime. I went in the locker room, and I just talked to the guys. I see some stuff that we can clean up, and we came to pass rushing. I think some moves that will work. And I'm talking to Praise, I'm talking to Mo, I'm talking to Bright. I'm telling them what to do, telling them what I think going to work. And they go out there and they applied it, and it worked. And as far as T-Night, I mean, making that move from Buck, which is more like our outside linebacker, to Mike, he's going to get 15 tackles a game, 14, 15 tackles a game. I mean, he's shooting for 135 tackles. I think he's going to crack that easily. I think he's going to get 150 this year because him and Mike, I mean, he's just making so many plays. Last year we had Kyle Waterston right there, which, of course, he finished the season having a great season, 100 tackles, 8 sacks. I mean, so T-Night right there is going to definitely be a difference maker.
Yeah, I think that's going to be he's going to be a big impact player on this team. The fact that he even came back this year is a huge story in itself. But JT, you tell me, next week at Northwestern, your thoughts, UTEP, now 1-1. Granted, this was an FCS team, so it's not like we can talk about UTEP defeating a team out of Conference USA or, a team that's really, really highly regarded. I will say this is the same team that went to an FCS semifinal appearance last year and really looked impressive today in what they were showing us. But you tell me, Northwestern, UTEP, give me your early predictions on that one.
Like I said, I think we'll come out on top on that one. It's really determined on our passing game that game, because I'm not sure if we're going to be able to run it all over them like we just ran all over them. At UIW. I think we're going to be able to stop the run. So it's really going to be up to Praise and Mo and Keenan getting to the passer in that pass game, because Northwestern is known for having good O-linemen, so it's going to be the battle of the trenches.
I love it, man. It's going to be interesting. And if, like you said, like you're predicting right now, if UTEP ends up getting that victory, it's going to be huge for their fans, and they will forget about that Week 0 loss at Jacksonville State. Hey, Jadrian Taylor, I appreciate you calling in. I'm excited about your future. XFL on the horizon. For now, you'll stay in the 915, so hopefully we get a chance to talk to you here soon enough.
Of course. And if anybody needed any type of vehicle, let me know. I'm out here at Fox Acura, so give me a call.
There we go.
219-2874.
Hey, give me that number one more time.
936-219-2874. Any vehicle you need, just let me know.
I love it. Hey, Jadrian, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you weighing in on the show. Let's keep things moving. 915-505-6009. We're also available 600 ESPN El Paso on social media, 600 ESPN El Paso wherever you're checking us out on social media. Also, want to mention Sal Montes wrapping up the KLAQ broadcast right now with Voice of the Miners, John Teicher, Cole Freitag, and Mata the Monster Medina. We will continue Miner Talk right now, a little early edition here after Chihuahuas baseball. Special thanks to our producer Angel Munoz for hanging with us throughout the night and being with us here as we continue on Miner Talk. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You are listening to Miner Talk, brought to you by the Oscar Arieta Agency. More phone calls coming up right here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
600 ESPN El Paso.
All right, back here at our Schoolyard Sports Studios here on 600 ESPN El Paso. It's okay, Angel. I'll throw you a break here in just a second. Let's go to Josh in the Northeast. 600 ESPN El Paso online and 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. Josh, good evening, man. Thanks for weighing in on the show. How's everything going?
Oh, great. Miners played hell of a game. First half, I was kind of scared a little bit. The offense was struggling, defense was struggling a little bit. They went into the locker room at halftime. I don't know if Michael Jordan from Space Jam gave him the special drink sauce or whatever. But second half came out, and UTEP shined. Defense, offense played fine. All I gotta say is El Paso, come out, support our Miners. As long as we support our Miners, they're gonna win.
Hey, Josh, to your point, 30,738 fans were in attendance tonight at the Sun Bowl. Very impressive showing from the El Paso faithful. And it's more impressive knowing that they lost last week and disappointed a lot of their fan base, yet they still were able to draw 30,000 plus. It's a good home attendance here for the first game for UTEP. But to your point, Josh, it's going to be interesting to see how this continues. Can UTEP fans support them throughout the season for the rest of their home schedule? That'll be something that I'm definitely looking to see the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think they can. If they go into Evanston, Illinois next week against Northwestern, they beat Northwestern, they're going to have UTEP, El Paso behind them, full support, 100%. I don't care if they're down or whatever. I'm supporting Miners all the way.
Okay. All right, Josh. Hey, give me a quick prediction next week at Northwestern. Are you as high on UTEP as Jadrian Taylor was in that previous call? Do you think UTEP can actually go on the road and beat a Big Ten opponent like Northwestern next week?
Yes, sir. You heard it here. You heard it here first. UTEP 24, Northwestern 21.
Okay, I got you down for that, man. Hey, appreciate the phone call, Josh. Thanks for weighing in on the show. Our telephone number as we continue here on Miner Talk, 915-505-6009. We're also on 600 ESPN El Paso on social media, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and 600ESPNElPaso.com. Let's go out to Zay, who has this from UTEP football head coach Dana Dimmel. This is from the press conference today, talking about the run game specifically, and if this was the best the run game has looked over his time at UTEP. This is head coach Dana Dimmel talking with the media after the game. So that's head coach Dana Dimmel talking a little bit about the run game, and really what he was emphasizing, the best it's ever looked. Talked about how, of course it was Deion Hankins who led the way with a career day, over 170 on the ground on 24 rush attempts. That's a 7.3 average on yards per carry. Very impressive by the hometown product in Deion Hankins, Parkland's own, and what he was able to do in this performance. Torrance Burgess also had 10 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. Mike Franklin with 9 carries, 53 yards on the ground, and a touchdown as well. We'll be talking about this a lot throughout today. As far as the running back distribution, everything that we saw today in the run game, very impressive by the Miners in this victory. Let's continue on social media. Poncho checks in. If you don't call pass plays, Gavin Hardison can't throw interceptions. Hashtag MinerTalk. Hey, Poncho, I get it, and I understand you're trying to be funny on this one. And I think that, most of where you're leading to as far as taking a little jab on Gavin Hardison is warranted off the first game, right? I mean, Hardison struggled against Jacksonville State on the road. He took a lot of ownership this week on that, and he was efficient in this game. 77% completion. He also was 10 of 13 through the air, so again, less than 15 pass attempts for Gavin Hardison. They largely favor the run to 50 rush attempts. 50 rush attempts to 13 pass attempts in this game. You're largely favoring that run game in this one, but the reason why? It's simple. They don't want to show their hands ahead of next week's game at Northwestern. They want to be as deceptive as they can going into that game, and I think that's really important for UTEP's head coaching staff. They want to, come to Northwestern with a little bit of an element of surprise, and I think not seeing Gavin Hardison throw for more than 13 pass attempts is a prime indication that the Miners just wanted to have a vanilla game plan in this one. And they had to win this one in the trenches. I'm talking about offensive line, defensive line. Head coach Dana Dimmel talked about it in his post-game interview with Voice of the Miners, John Teicher. And it's true. This game is won in the trenches by UTEP football. They were simply able to overpower their FCS opponent in an Incarnate Word, and they just wore them down in the second half. I thought that in the trenches, UTEP won most of those battles in the second half particularly, which was very impressive by this team. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009. You could also check in with us on social media as we continue. Let's continue with more comments coming in right now. Poncho checks in. Good play calling by Dimmel. Great play by the defense, specifically in the second half. Good job by Gavin Hardison, staying calm in the pocket and making the right decision when passing. It'll be really interesting to see versus University of Arizona. Hopefully they can keep it up. I mean, Poncho brings up a good point mentioning the Arizona game, because I'm talking about Northwestern, which is next Saturday, a local 1:30 kickoff for that one. But if you look 2 weeks ahead, the Miners have, of course, Arizona on the road, a Pac-12 opponent. They could go to Tucson and have a good opportunity to take on that Wildcat squad, in a couple weeks. So that'll be interesting in itself, just to see how the Miners fare against a Pac-12 opponent like Arizona. They've played them recently. Khalil Tate was the last time they played them, and so I'm interested to see that game. Just like Poncho is, 2 Power 5 opponents in consecutive weeks for the Miners. And we'll definitely have all the coverage for that one as we continue. Our telephone number again to get in on the program, 915-505-6009. Also available 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. Let's do this. Let's take a timeout right now. We'll also take a legal update as well. You're listening to Miner Talk, brought to you by the Oscar Arieta Agency. More in a moment here on 600 ESPN El Paso. All right, we are continuing here on Miner Talk, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency. They've got several locations in El Paso, all the way out to Fabens. Been in the community for over 27 years. Trust the local experts at the Oscar Arieta Agency for home, auto, life insurance, and even commercial business insurance. That's the Oscar Arieta Agency, wherever. And also check them out online, riseup915.com for game day giveaways. You can actually register, whether you're in town or out of town. Register for game day giveaways thanks to the Oscar Arieta Agency. And they are the proud presenting sponsors here on Miner Talk. Really appreciate them for all that they do. We mentioned this earlier, but they had signed Praise Amehule gloves that they were actually auctioning off. And, I'm just super appreciative of the Oscar Arieta Agency always helping us out. They hooked us up with some really cool sunglasses that we gave out today out at the District West, and I think fans really like those. So it was we really appreciate the Oscar Arieta Agency as always, and they are definitely going to have some really cool giveaways throughout the season for Miner Talk. Hey, big shout out to Antoine, PE department, physical ed _HA, who guessed UTEP 28, Incarnate Word 13, just 1 point off for the Guess the Score contest. They are getting a prize pack from Miner Talk, some swag, some giveaways, some t-shirts, some stickers, and all sorts of really cool stuff. Hey, let's turn the page and let's welcome in a new member here on the broadcast team who is joining us here for the first time tonight here for Miner Talk. It is Zay Galindo, who joined us in our pregame show. He is back at our 600 ESPN El Paso Schoolyard Sports Studios. And Zay, you got to witness this one firsthand. You were field level watching the Miners defeat Incarnate Word 28-14. You got a chance to listen to head coach Dana Dimmel following this one with a post-game interview along with some players as well. We'll get to those comments in just a second, but give me your full breakdown on this game and what it means for UTEP football.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big win. You had to win this game. If you would have lost to an FCS opponent following that loss to Jacksonville State, I mean, the pitchforks would have been out, right? You know, fans would have been very mad, and they went out there, they took care of business, right? It's a good FCS squad in Incarnate Word, and, when they faced adversity early, when Incarnate Word went down the field, scored that touchdown, they responded. They responded well to adversity, and that's something I like to see, and at the same point, UTEP, they kept it simple. They ran the ball, and like you guys said, they kept, all their good plays, you could say, for Northwestern next week. So they kept it simple. They didn't show too much, and they took care of business.
And at the same time, I'm not overreacting to this victory for the Miners in favor for them. I'm also not going to say that this was just a whatever game. This was a game in which 30,000 plus attended this one out at the Sun Bowl. This is a game in which they had over 400 yards of total offense, which was impressive in itself. This is also a matchup in which they shut out Incarnate Word in the second half, 0 points and just 70 yards of total offense in the second half, following almost a 200 plus performance in the first half in terms of total yards. Passing yards, 245 passing yards for Incarnate Word to just 63 on the ground. So I thought UTEP's run defense also really shored itself up. But Zay, I'll throw it right back to you. What does this one mean perspective-wise for UTEP winning this one and evening themselves 1-1?
Well, first off, it's good to get that first win, out of the way. You don't want that standing in your way. You go 0-2. Now you're thinking, there's no way we're going to get a win when you're playing against Northwestern, Arizona, and UNLV the following weeks. So that's good to get the first win out of the way. And second off, like you said, there's 30,000 people in the stands. UTEP finally won a game where El Paso showed up, right? I immediately think of the UTSA and the North Texas games. They laid an egg. They did not play good in front of a packed El Paso crowd. So, it was rocking in the Sun Bowl. It was really loud down there. And I think the excitement's up around the city, around this team once again.
I think so too. Well, and it's interesting, right? Because we talked about going into this game, how difficult it would be for them to possibly win the fans back, and how many people would be there. We guessed under 28,000 for the attendance, and maybe what the lesson here, Zay, is fans will show up for the first game. Fans will get excited about football because it's college football, and fans want to see a winning product for UTEP, whoever they play. If it's Incarnate Word, if it's Western Illinois, if it's Oklahoma, if it's North Texas, doesn't matter. They just want to see a winning product on the field at the Sun Bowl, and that's what they saw tonight. I thought the Sun Bowl crowd was rocking, and they had really loud moments throughout this game.
Yeah, there were a couple false starts on Incarnate Word, offsides too, so it was loud. It was really loud down there, and it did take a minute for the Sun Bowl to fill up, but once it did, it looked really nice. It looked nice. That stadium deserves to be full. It deserves to be at least somewhat full, and for UTEP to go out there, take care of business in front of a big crowd, no matter who they're playing against, whether it's an FCS opponent, FBS opponent, it says a lot. They faced adversity early. They could have given up after that first Incarnate Word touchdown, but they didn't. And that's good to see, whether or not it's an FCS school or not.
So last year's second highest most attended game was the New Mexico State home game. 23,325 people showed up for that game, compared to 45,000 plus in the home opener loss to North Texas. Tonight, over 30,000 people go to the Sun Bowl to watch the Miners and Incarnate Word. And with that, let's welcome in the third member and the co-host here of Miner Talk. He is Sal Montes. He is fresh off the broadcast. He has done so much work here. I think he has his tent along with myself. We're planning to camp out here tonight and just hang out with everybody until the wee hours of the night. But Sal, welcome aboard. UTEP gets their first victory of the season. How's it going, man?
It's going, there we go. Perfect. Yeah. What's going on, AB? Zay, great job, man, by the way. But yeah, it was a fun one to watch for the final 2 quarters or so, because it was a bit frustrating in the first half. However, they handled their business. At the end of the day, a lot of people wanted them to run the ball more. If there's really any takeaways that you want to have negatively from this game, I would say didn't force some of the turnovers. There was a lot of forced fumbles that they didn't recover. And, to only have 1 interception on a night where they played ball hawking defense for majority of the game. Maybe the turnover number, if you want to nitpick. However, I think they did well in that. And then also the main one is they wanted them to run the ball, Adrian, and they did that. They trusted themselves. Didn't matter if they were when they were down 7-0, 14-0, whatever the case was. That's how they got majority of the yardage.
Hey, we got a call ringing in, 915-505-6009 on the show, 600 ESPN El Paso, also on social media, 600 ESPN El Paso, wherever you check us out on social media. Sal, one of the other, so you talk about some of the deficiencies, which I agree. You could look at the turnover margin in the first half, something they really needed. It's Latrez Shelton who gets the game-ending, seal it up, interception in the back of the end zone, and that was significant for the Miners at the time because you talk about Incarnate Word, they moved the ball up tempo. They were fast throughout the game, and I thought that kept the defense on their toes. But every chance, what you notice from UTEP, and this is a coaching game and a mind game, every chance UTEP had, they would sub a player. Every single chance they would have. And what that did is it allowed the defense to maybe buy themselves a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever it was, to adjust themselves to the next play. I thought it was brilliant coaching in the second half. It was great adjustment by the coaching staff, and they needed to do that because what Incarnate Word exposed tonight was that when it's an up-tempo offense that UTEP's facing, the UTEP does not want to get into a shootout. In fact, they want to get into those 3-and-out situations like you saw in the third quarter. Incarnate Word just had 2 possessions in the entire third quarter, and most of that was because of that 8-minute drive that the Miners put together. But what I'm trying to say is UTEP sealing the deal with that game-ending interception by Latrez Shelton to seal the this one off. I thought that was significant. So we talked the turnover margin in the first half, not really doing much there. Aggressiveness, not really there either. Second half aggressiveness pays off with that interception in a big way.
Yeah, and it was basically unanswered play as well for them to score 3 unanswered touchdowns to really take the game home. I think that shows that they can be in control. So now it's just a matter of taking that next step. Hey, good job. You beat Incarnate Word when this game was a lot tougher than people may have imagined. However, you got this win now. You got to go on to the next one against Northwestern.
So I think the key is here as well. It was simple in the second half. Just run the ball. I mean, I think I was telling this to everybody who I talked to at the half. Run the ball. The run game is the most effective. It was obvious in the first half. You didn't have to go out and win this one with trick plays, overthinking yourself, getting yourself in bad situations. No, second half was all about controlling the clock, getting out on third downs defensively, and maintaining things on a very basic level, and they did that. They executed that at a high level. They could have put up more points, sure. Maybe somebody would have wanted that. They could have put up more passing yards, sure. People would say that, Gavin Hardison, 10 of 13 through the air for 94 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Maybe they want to see more passing attempts. All right, I don't. I'm good with what they did. They averaged 6.7 yards per play, including Torrance Burgess, who was just a lightning bolt out of the backfield, 8.5 yards per carry from their newcomer running back, who bursted onto the scene in a significant way. Miners almost controlled time of possession for almost 11 more minutes compared to Incarnate Word. So a lot of stats that you could like, and it was largely due to what they did at the half, adjusting into that third and fourth quarter. But let's keep things moving on the phones. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009. Thanks to Joe John Sr. for checking in on social media. Thanks for VIP Lounge EP for checking in as well. Archie Stevens checked in as well, asking, how did Incarnate Word get the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty late in the game? Zay, you got some insight onto that. What happened?
Yeah, so about the whole game, it was chippy, especially between Incarnate Word receivers and UTEP secondary, the corners, and it got really chippy at times. There were a lot of pushing, a lot of tugging, and down the stretch, there was that unsportsmanlike penalty. It was Amir Boyd Matthews. He was on one-on-one with a Incarnate Word receiver, and the receiver just had enough of his little, his little mind games, you could call them, and he just pushed him into the wall. He took his helmet, he kind of pushed his helmet off, and they were called for an unsportsmanlike penalty.
Good insight there. You saw that from the field, and that's where Zay was hanging tonight. Let's go to Hunter, who's joining us next on the phone lines, 915-505-6009. Hunter, good evening, man. You're hanging with us late. What's going on?
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey, Hunter, we're hanging in. We're doing just fine. Long day, but happy to be here still, man. How about you?
Can't complain, man. Missed the game, fortunately for me today, but appreciate what you guys do out here for all the fans, and I hope you get to keep it going.
Oh, definitely, man. We're gonna see you out at the District West soon enough, so I promise you that.
I'll be there buying everybody drinks, man. We'll get it done.
Love it, love it.
A couple takes, and when we don't have a choice, obviously, but when we celebrate a mediocre win against a nobody, and we look at that as a launching point of our season, I think that really is the biggest story and the biggest tell of the state of our program right now, right? Even our terrible teams in the 90s, when Valdosta State or someone would come in, they'd beat them 49-3 or something the way you should, and there's benefits and there's pluses and minuses to this team, and the best part is the talent on both sides of the ball. That Burgess kid averaging 8.5 carries, feed him the ball. Like, it doesn't take a genius to realize that 8.5 yards a carry, you only let him carry it 10 times. The defense is a legitimate, Conference USA defense, one of the better ones, top half of the conference. The problem is the coach gets in the way. So the only way I see the season going the right way is he gets out of their way and do what you should do. Hand the ball off. Don't let Hardison and that guy that you all have interning, and he did a great job, and I felt kind of bad for him, that Cade, or what was it?
Yeah, Cade McConnell, yeah.
I mean, I felt kind of bad because you guys were kind of talking to him like if he was the coach and he's having to defend him. But, Gavin's not an NFL quarterback. He's got an NFL arm that doesn't know how to read defenses or nothing. And yes, it's difficult, but that's why you're the quarterback at a D1 school. If you can't play off of what the defense is giving you, you're going to have a very difficult time. That's your whole job as a quarterback. But it's not looking good for next week or the following week. But the light at the end of the tunnel for me is, did you see what Texas State did today?
They beat Baylor. They beat first ever Power 5 win, Hunter.
And do you know who their offensive coordinator is?
Mac Leftwich, former UTEP quarterback. You're setting me up perfectly today.
Head coach candidate could be.
Oh, Hunter, where are you going with this one here?
That's the light at the end of the tunnel for me. There's the answer. The young blood right there. What a win.
Oh man.
Right.
I can't. I don't even know how to react to this one. I don't even know how to react, Hunter. I'll just let you walk off on that one, like Steph Curry walking away from a 3-pointer when he looks away on that. So, whoa, man, I don't even know where to get. So to Hunter's point about, the lack of competition for Incarnate Word, I think a lot of fans feel the same way. Hey, it's an FCS team. Hey, in the Price era, in the Kugler era even, those teams would not be a tough opponent for the Miners. I just would make you look back on UTEP's history, specifically Dana Dimel's history against FCS opponents. First ever game in the Dana Dimel era was a loss to an FCS opponent, 30-10 to Northern Arizona. It was a really talented team for Northern Arizona, but nonetheless they dropped that game. Second year, that was their only win. They went 1-11 that 2019 season, and their only win came against an FCS opponent in Houston Baptist that season. You look at how they struggled against some FCS teams in the pandemic-shortened season. Abilene Christian, Stephen F. Austin, there was a 24-14 score there. There was a 20-13 score there. Look, they're not demolishing these FCS opponents. It takes a lot for them to beat them, but these are the better versions of the FCS talents and teams. You look over 45 minutes away from us here at NMSU, the Aggies just hosted an 0-11 Western Illinois football team tonight, and they were 0-12, last year out of the FCS ranks, and New Mexico State destroyed them. It wasn't even close. I mean, they did exactly what you expected them to do in that victory. I'm just kind of comparing just to show you, but on the flip side, so New Mexico State won today 58-21. That was the final. But today, UTEP goes up against Incarnate Word, which was an FCS playoff semifinalist. So your all's thoughts on caliber of, I'm not trying to gas up Incarnate Word because I agree to a certain degree. I mean, like if UTEP loses this game, it's a colossal miss right there in the program. But at the same, I mean, this is not just a pushover team, and I think you throw this Incarnate Word team against some of the worst teams in FBS, they might beat them. They might actually win some of those games right there, and that's a sign of a strong FCS program.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm taking away from this game is that the Miners did what they were supposed to do, what they needed to do, right?
There you go.
And you like to see some of those efficiencies being shown today because you want to have good. Is it better to have good film take away from this game or bad film to take away from this game? So it's kind of, don't look into it too much because it is a very long season. However, I mean, now they got, a little bit of it going, and it's much better. It's a much better feeling going into the game against Northwestern than it was going into the game against Incarnate Word.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, not even close. Zay, your thoughts?
Yeah, Incarnate Word went to Nevada last year and beat them by 2 possessions. They beat them by 2 touchdowns, right? And we're taking a look here. Marshall, former Conference USA, they were in Conference USA. They hosted the University of Albany today. They barely won by 4 points. Florida International hosted Maine. They barely won by 2 points. FCS schools are much better than a lot of people think. Sam Houston State is making the transition. They're in a close one with BYU late. LJ Martin, he is leading BYU right now in rushing.
Oh, nice. Good
but,
to know.
Sam Houston State, they're in FCS. They're transitioning. They were national champions. The FCS is a lot better than people, might imagine. And yes, FBS schools are supposed to dominate them, but, if you're facing a top 10 FCS squad with that many Power 5 and, FBS transfers, I mean, you don't want to look too much into it, like you guys said, but it's not it's not the end of the world. They beat them by 2 touchdowns.
And also to that point as well, you mentioned how FCS teams have beaten FBS teams at a higher rate than previous decades, if you want to put it that way. A lot of them are beating up on the lower tier of NCAA football, and when you look at just the history of UTEP football, where are you going to find them? So I expected this one to be tough.
Hey, I mean, it's UTEP. At the end of the day, they came off a loss to Jacksonville State. They had to get right at home, and they won by 2 touchdowns. So, great call there by Hunter. Always appreciate him weighing in on the show. And I think, in terms of the run game and feeding Torrance Burgess more, I wonder if we're going to see a game this season where he gets over 15 carries on the ground and what that will mean for UTEP. Because if he's averaging almost 9 yards a carry right now, and he's just 2 games into his college football career, I'm excited for the upside of this player right here. Torrance Burgess Jr., we heard all about him throughout the offseason. He's a smaller back. I mean, he's tiny. He's 5'6", redshirt sophomore. He only played in 2 games last year as he was trying to learn their offense. Comes from Tyler Junior College, another example of the Tyler Junior College pipeline and how that has been for UTEP. But, man, he is just really impressive. Out of high school, guys, he was a 3-star prospect, and he was actually the 8th ranked running back out of JUCO when he came out of Tyler Junior College. So Torrance Burgess, man, he gets a lot of credit from me. I was really impressed by him in this performance. If he had gone over 100 yards, it would have been the first time the Miners had 2 players on their teams go over 100 yards on the ground since Willie Eldridge and Ronald Awatt did so against Bethune-Cookman. Who had that one? Who had that one right? No one.
Nobody.
Not me. Shout out Drew Bonney. I love that one right there. But, hey, your guys' thoughts, anybody's thoughts here on Torrance Burgess and what he brought to the table here on this one?
I really like the change of pace that you get, right? Dion is more your north-south type of guy. Burgess could go left-right, in a split second. So I think it catches the defense off guard. And something that John mentioned, as well as Cole and Mondo, is that due to his height, he's able to hide a bit from the defenders. So it's
oh my gosh,
it's a bit scary when when you do see him, he's already zooming past you. So I really do like that change of pace. It reminds me of a Smash and Dash, that title from years back. So we'll see what happens.
Good stuff there, man. Hey, our telephone number 915-505-6009 to get into the show. 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. And 600ESPNElPaso.com. We'll have some great recaps up on the site as well. We'll go through a drive chart. We'll talk about things we liked and things we didn't like from this game. But UTEP gets a 28-14 victory. Let's talk about it with you as Miner Talk, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency, continues. Let's go to Justin, who's been patiently waiting on the phone lines. Justin, good evening. What's going on?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Justin?
Good. I just got back from the game. Hey, win's a win, but I know we could do better. We can do better.
Okay, so you think a win's a win. They can do better. What'd you like from tonight's performance from UTEP?
The running game. Man, it's insane to me. Like, how many yards do we have this game? I know it's a lot, but...
On the ground, well, in total, they had 423. On the ground, 329 rushing yards. How about that one there, Justin?
That's crazy to me. I like the way that they're playing. I think we need to trust Hardison just a little bit more. I know what he can do. I've seen him play. But, hey, like I said, a win's a win.
Okay, win's a win from Justin. Justin, give me your thoughts next week at Northwestern.
Hey, it's going to be a tough game, but I still think we can win. I know what we can do. I've seen a little bit of this team play before, but we can do it. But, hey, I have a challenge for all of the fans. Win or lose, next game, we need to fill the stadium up. You got me?
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens, man. Let's see if they can do it. I don't know about that one there, Justin, but hey, 30,000 plus in attendance at the Sun Bowl. That's a step in the right direction, guys, and especially after a loss and the way that they fell to Jacksonville State on the road. I was impressed by 30,000 plus, and I thought it was a loud crowd tonight. So great call, Justin. Really appreciate it. Thanks for weighing in on the show. And let's keep things moving. 915-505-6009. Also 600 ESPN El Paso, everywhere online. as we continue. UTEP defeats Incarnate Word 28-14. You want to talk about it with us? Let's do it. 915-505-6009 as we continue here on the postgame show. Let's go over to what's happening on social real quick, and then we'll get out to Milkman, our man, coming up next. Brandon Vaughn sends us this. Solid adjustments by Dana Dimmel this week. When we are a run-first team, we are hard to beat. Let's hope that they can pull the upset next week at Northwestern. This coming in from Christopher Carrillo. I'm glad Dana Dimmel pulled his head out and realized that he has a running game. Hashtag MinerTalk. That's coming from Chris_Burro here on MinerTalk. Also checking in, King Eric. I was close to my score predictions, Adrian. Dimmel play calling means a lot of RPOs and the good old Wildcat formation. I don't see the same spark that they had back in 2021. The defense is elite, but we have to change the play calling. That's coming from King Eric. Manny David checks in on social as well. Says this, wasn't able to make it to the game, but wore my throwback jersey to work tonight. You're welcome, El Paso. Great win tonight. Not expecting a win versus Northwestern, but hopefully they can keep it competitive next week. Let's head out to Milkman as we continue here on MinerTalk 915-505-6009. Milkman, what's going on? Good evening.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great, Milkman. What'd you think of this game?
I was, well, obviously much more impressed than last week. And yes, it's an FCS school, but I mean, honestly, you guys kind of said it already that NMSU playing a winless FCS team versus one that was one of the top FCS teams, it's not the valid comparison. And I was listening to Sports Talk during the week, and they were talking about Incarnate Word and you know, some of the stuff you would mention about how they had a lot of big transfers from, you know, Power 5 schools. So, you know, that's pretty good. Obviously, you know, you don't want to be too happy with an FCS win, but hey, a win's a win, you know. It was good to see, and I heard Dana Dimmel after talking to Teicher saying that they didn't put all of their playbook out on the field for Northwestern, which you know, that's good to know. But I got to say, I think the play calling worked better this week. So I'm not sure what that means, but you know, I was definitely happy to see that, you know, like the other caller said, that they discovered they do have a running game, and Hankins ran like I think a lot of us expect him to, because he's definitely a good talent. So, you know, hopefully they can keep that up. It'd be great. As far as Northwestern, I'll say what I think a lot of people were saying going into this season, that if you're going to hit them on a year, this would probably be the year to hit them. Does that correlate to a win? Well, don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's out of the cards. But, you know, hey, let's hope they get a win next week.
We'll see, Milkman. I'm looking forward to watching UTEP just take on another Power 5 opponent who's got a lot of baggage behind them, and maybe UTEP can instill a little minor magic like they did tonight and get a huge upset. I mean, that's a program-changing upset right there if they were to do it at Northwestern. Just to put it into perspective, UTEP's never beaten a Power 5 team in their football history, so that'd be big right there. Milkman, appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for weighing in. Let's skip over. Let's go to Mondo the Monster Medina, director out for El Paso Sports Network, also sideline reporter for the UTEP football broadcast, and he joins us on the hotline right now. Mondo, you're on with me, Zay, and Sal. What's going on, my man?
Wait, hold on. What's up, gentlemen? What's going on? I already did my thing to you today. What's up, baby? Shout out to Triple RV. I love you.
Love you.
Adrian, good job as always. It's good to be on. And the monster following the Milkman, I feel honored. You know, that for somebody out there called the Milkman. That is awesome. Hey, guys, but the one thing that the Milkman did say is that a win is a win. And honestly, at the end of the day, when you're better than your opponent, you got to go out there and show that. And honestly, in the second half, that's what the Miners did. They didn't do it in the first half, but they did it in the second half. And I think it was that big 8-minute drive, you know, and I think the Miners, you know, we saw little glimpses of it, guys, last week, the running game there at Jacksonville State. And I know a lot of people like say the weather's not an excuse, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, being firsthand on the field last week, it was absolutely horrible playing conditions with the heat and humidity. But like I said, both teams had to deal with it. But at the end of the day, they righted the ship, and I think that they got a win that they needed to build their confidence. And like I said, we knew they got a tremendous three-headed monster, so to say, with the guys there. And hopefully they can improve and take that going into Northwestern next week.
Mondo, I know you were field level and you got a chance to see all the guests who were out there and who were either honored or just visiting. Most notably, you're talking about the 88 team, talking about former Director of Athletics Bob Stoll, all the members of the UTEP Athletic Hall of Fame that were inducted this weekend. Also, Aaron Jones, Alvin Jones, they were all on the sideline. Everybody was witnessing this. But one of the things that I fixated on was I really thought Deion Hankins ran like he did at Parkland. You covered Deion Hankins throughout his high school career, now going through his college career. I thought this was maybe his best performance as a UTEP Miner.
Yeah, I agree with you, Agent. Of course, he did a tremendous job on the coach front there at Parkland with the Matadors, and he kind of alluded to that when he was talking in the post-game show with Tysher. And he got, he said at one time he had got in one game, he got like 40-plus touches, and he got the most ever as a UTEP Miner, got the most yards as a UTEP Miner. The only thing that was mentioned was a touchdown. But, yeah, I think a lot of people didn't realize that he was injured. I think Coach Jimbo said in the third play of the Jacksonville State game. So, but today he was like, I think he kind of had something to prove out there to show everybody that we are going to be a good running team. And he, like I said, I like to describe Deion as when he's running angry. He wants to hit somebody. I think we saw a couple of times last week at Jacksonville State where he kind of actually knocked the guys back and actually knocked the helmets off. So it's good to see somebody, of course, Deion's stature have a tremendous game for the Miners.
Keys for next week, Mondo, before we let you go. At Northwestern, hey, nothing to lose if you're UTEP right now. You're 1-1 on the season, going up on the road against a Power 5 opponent in Chicago. They've got a lot of baggage within their own football program and organization, so give me your keys for UTEP going into next week.
Well, for me, as cliche as it always seems, to like minimize your mistakes. But my whole thing is like when you go against these big schools, is don't be afraid of the uniform. Don't go out there. It's going to be a big stadium. A lot of people out there. Don't. It's kind of like, I'll be honest, like last year when they played Oklahoma, that whole pregame situation to have Oklahoma guys like game was over in the first quarter before the Miners looked. It was 21-0 or something like that. Then the Miners kind of rebounded when they kind of like took a breath. Second quarter, the Miners did pretty good. For me, honestly, is like. Don't get caught up in the moment that you're playing a big school. Don't be intimidated by the uniform and go out there and play. And, you'll make mistakes in the ball game. That's all I look at it.
Hey, Mondo, can't thank you enough for calling in. It's always great to hear your voice, and we're back at it. Another season of UTEP football, man. Blessed to do this and blessed to talk to you here on this show.
All right, guys. Nothing but love. Love all you guys. That's a good day. Good night, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, talk to you next week. That's Mondo the Monster Medina joining us here on the hotline as we continue. Check him out, El Paso Sports Network, and check him out, of course, with the UTEP football sideline and the football broadcast as well. Hey, let's continue, guys. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009. Also available 600 ESPN El Paso, everywhere online. Let's burn through some posts that came in right now. Enrique Ortiz, as a much-needed win, our Miners needed. I still believe we will upset Northwestern. Mark my words, Adrian, 2-1 next week. Wow. Augustine, trying to be a troll. He's back at it, okay? People saying that the step will be beating Northwestern. Come on. Their offensive line is huge. This is also coming from Cesar Cubillos with 2 big-name road games up next. This was a must-win. I'll be at Northwestern and hope UTEP keeps the momentum going. Great student section today. I hope everyone liked the throwbacks that everyone wore. See you all September 23rd versus UNLV. Hey, let's talk about that real quick, guys. Uniforms. Are we giving thumbs up, thumbs down? I want to say the 800... uniforms, the throwbacks from the UTEP Spirit Squad, And I love the Pater Pete look. Loved what we saw from the Spirit team themselves. That was a major plus for me. The uniforms themselves, they add the stripe on the helmet. They throw the they throw the throwback jersey on the helmet as well, and you got the throwback colors to go along with it. You guys tell me, what'd you think of the uniforms? You start it, Zay, and then you tell me, Sal.
All right, guys, don't get on me. Don't get on me, all right? I was on the field, and I kind of looked at the uniforms, and I was like, wait a minute. That is the Texas Western colors. That is just Texas Western with the blue outline. And they were amazing uniforms, all right? I'm not hating. I'm just... They reminded me so much of the Texas Western uniforms, but other than that, I mean, they looked phenomenal.
Oh, so a little complaint there by Zay. Sal, go ahead. What do you think?
I like them. I think it was cool for them to go out there and slap on the throwback stickers, and I got to shout out the social media team that they have over there in their marketing, because you started seeing that immediately, right after the game against Jacksonville State, the promotions for it. A lot of people were going for that promotion too, not just to watch the team play, or they probably don't even know what happened last week, but to keep people engaged after a game like week 0, that's impressive. So shout out to the social media team, but the uniforms, Adrian, amazing. I really liked them.
I liked them too. I thought they stood out to me. They definitely popped on TV. Although, man, I heard the ESPN Plus broadcast struggled. So I won't dive into that. I understand. It's first game technical difficulties, and they'll get back at it. And they have a great team over there. But I also want to say that when it comes to the uniforms themselves, man, I love the stripe. I guess it's like the Tar Heel blue stripe on the shoulder pad of these teams. I think that was probably one of the
Columbia
things.
blue. Let me see.
Yeah, I think that one was one of the ones that I liked. Yeah, Hunter texted into the show and asked which Pater was it, the 80s one? That's correct. It was the 80s throwback that was the 80s throwback mascot of Pater Pete that was on the helmet for UTEP football. And again, 3 stripes. They were Adidas for tonight. Let's keep it moving on social media. 915 Sun City Caper posts into the show. Give Dana Dimmel a 10-year extension. Jim Center. The man can flat out coach. I don't know where we would be without him. Thank God he is our coach. That's coming from 915 Sun City Caper. I don't know what he was. I don't know where his call last week was. Very opposite of what he just said right there. Adrian at Enemy Win 3 posts into the show. Ban all the fired Dimmel callers. We don't need their negativity. Caesar follows it up by saying this: I was on the cheer squad for that Valdosta State versus UTEP game on September 16, 1995. Final score was UTEP 34, Valdosta State 24. I'm saying that wrong, but I don't even know how to say that. Miner Joe chimes in. Hankins is not from Burgess, Hunter. Come on, man. Had some good points, though. Miner Joe, he wasn't talking about Burgess. He was talking about Torrance Burgess. Oh, man. It's hard to follow all this stuff. Parkland, Burgess. Come on. The Parkland standout and Burgess had a great game. Torrance Burgess, my friend, Miner Joe. But, hey, appreciate you checking him on that. How about Silt Striders FTW? Thank goodness we won. We should be 2-0, but 1-1 right now. Hopefully things get much better in the next 10 games. Wow. There you go. Esteban didn't like the uniforms. He said the uniforms look red. Esteban is not a fan. That's what he said.
Was he at the game, or was he in person?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because I'll say this. On the broadcast, it did look red. However, I don't know if it's my laptop screen or whatever the case is, but no, it did look red on TV. So maybe they were different in person. However, you can even argue everybody sees color differently, too.
There you go.
I get blue and purple mixed up, so don't mind me.
I hear you on that. Hey, our telephone number, 915-505-6009. Let's talk more specifics on what we liked, plus first half and second half breakdowns coming up next. But let's take a break right now. And before we do that, before we hit our break, I just want to run down some of our great sponsors and give great shout-outs to everybody out there. We're presented by the Oscar Ariete Agency, but we will get to our awards later on here on the show, we will have our Wind Supply El Paso hot hand of the game. We'll have our New Start Homes drive of the game, and want to give a big shout out to the District West for hosting us earlier today for our MinerTalk pregame party. In fact, we will have a watch party 1:30 next Saturday out at the District West. Come on out and join us. UTEP versus Northwestern on the road. That one should be a lot of fun. Come on out. If you haven't done it, first 2 weeks were fantastic. Packed house. Show up early, and we will have it for you next week starting at 1:30 here on 600 ESPN El Paso. 915 Tours also brings some great prizes for us at every tailgate and watch party that we have at the district, so big props to them as well. Hey, let's take a break right here. When we come back, more about UTEP Incarnate Word. Miners get the win, 28-14. We're presented by the Oscar at the Agency. More on MinerTalk coming up next on 600 ESPN El Paso. MinerTalk, as we are presented by the Oscar at the Agency. They've got locations from the east side all the way to Fabens. Contact the Oscar at the Agency at riseup915.com. Don't worry, say it's late, dude. We're half asleep over here, and we're just trying to get us on the radio here. But great job as always, man. We got it. Hey, let's go to social media. A lot of aggregators out. The haters are out, and Sal, we thought we would avoid them tonight, but the haters, they're not calling tonight. You know they're not on the phones, but they are behind Twitter, and I'm starting to see them. They're starting to crawl through the woodworks right now.
Hey,
you ready for it?
Any publicity is good publicity.
Okay, let's go. Haters. Let's start off with Augustine. Number one, he gets the president of the UTEP Haters Club. I don't think he's ever rooted for UTEP. I think he's always, been on the opposite side when it comes to UTEP, but let's do it. Let's start with Augustine. Adrian said, excellent coaching. Holy crappers. An FCS team gave UTEP headaches. It's embarrassing. I called the second half coaching pretty good, Augustine. This is from Augustine again. Actually, let me move beyond that one. That one wasn't good. Let's move to this one from Jonathan Byers, who said, I did a favor. I told Dana Dimmel to retire. The seed has been planted. I'll leave the rest up to you. It was an embarrassing performance. The game opened up once Incarnate Word kept running on the ball in the second half instead of relying on Zach Calzada, who was shredding UTEP in the first half, but then he went cold in the second. Incarnate Word's offensive coordinator is the MVP of this game. Thankfully, Dimmel stopped trying to throw the deep ball and even went as far to stop using Hardison almost entirely, but Incarnate Word's defense sucked. That's coming from Jonathan Byers on social media. And a couple posts that he just tagged us in for a while. That's something. Sometimes he just does that. He'll just, he'll go on a little rant and then he'll tag us after the rant and he'll just, expect us to read it. I'll say this to you, JB. First off, on your point on the retirement, I mean, of course, this coaching staff's committed to being here for the long run, so they want that extension to kick in. And what I'm trying to talk to you about here is there's a clause in Dana Dimmel's deal right now, or contract, that says that he automatically gets the 2025th year guaranteed if they win 6 or more games, aka go to a bowl game. So that automatically happens if they go to a bowl game this year or next year. So that's number one for you on your point of retirement. Number two, on the Zach Calzada point, actually I think that's a pretty good point. He did go cold in the second half, but you have to give credit to the UTEP defense, man. You can't go out here and be unfair to criticize UTEP all the time on what they do wrong or their inefficiencies, and then not look to their defense and give them some props, because look at what they did in the second half. Punt, interception, 3 drives. That was it. That's all the UTEP defense gave the Incarnate Word Cardinals in the second half. They couldn't do anything. 70 yards of total offense in the second half. That's abysmal right there. They had they passed 13 times in the second half for 57 passing yards, and for UTEP to just hold the way that they did in the second half defensively, that's sharp. Now on offense, not using Hardison, that was strategic. Magic. I mean, we talked about this already. It was a strategy by Gavin Hardison, not necessarily to throw more than 15 pass attempts in this game, and for them to simply go ground and pound. They didn't need Gavin Hardison to be electric. They didn't need him to do this kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, and also, too, when it comes down to the creativity of the offense, if you want to put it that way, they knew they were going to wear out Incarnate Word, so they were just going to stick with the run and be run heavy, basically all the second half. And why would you open up the pass game when you know that you're well on your way to a victory? And I think they held back a lot of the playbook. That way they don't show any looks for Northwestern or whoever else they may have down the road.
Hey, this person is not a hater. Headbanger Pete at Mr. E7771014. He says 1-0 wearing throwbacks. Continue wearing them until we lose. Hashtag UTEP football. Minor Magic in Chicago next weekend. More Burgess. That's coming from Headbanger Pete, Mr. E. He is fantastic on social media, man. He's a great follow. Hunter chimes in. Those uniforms were fire. They looked familiar to Zay because they were the same exact colors. Those were our colors. Need to bring them back. Columbia Blue. No other schools will have that combo. Hashtag MinerTalk. Hashtag bring Columbia Blue. And that is coming from Hunter Pennypacker. Let's jump out to the hotline right now. UTEP quarterback Cade McConnell joining us here on the phone lines right now. 915-505-6009. Just hit the midnight point of the show. Cade just got his phone right now, but he's enjoying the big win for UTEP, 28-14 over Incarnate Word. Cade, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to get a win.
I bet, man. It was a little shaky in the first half. I was getting worried for you guys at some points in that first half. In the second half, it was just simple. Win in the trenches, wear out their defense. Offensive line looked sharp, and then defensive line caused all sorts of problems for Incarnate Word. So it felt simple in the second half, the way that the game plan kind of shifted.
Yeah, I think, when I was on the other day, I talked about us just fixing some little things and executing and playing the type of football that we know how to play. And I think that in the second half, we started to wear them down. We started to play the kind of football that we've always practiced to be. And so I think it was a well-executed win. I think we showed, what we can put out on the field, and now it's just time to keep it rolling.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. This is the first time you're calling in on MinerTalk. And the thing is, Cade, I was expecting a lot of positivity on this show, which we did get early on. People are excited. Fans are happy. And those, 30,000 plus in attendance, that's pretty special. After the loss at Jacksonville State, I was wondering what that number would look like, and it was over 30,000 people out at the Sun Bowl. What did you think of that right there?
It's very special for our football team anytime we're playing at home, especially wearing throwback jerseys honoring the 88 team tonight. So we're so happy that, El Paso came out 34,000 strong to support us. And we're going to keep racking up wins at home, and we're going to keep racking up wins away. And so, I hope that El Paso continues to support us the way they have and the way they did tonight. It was a lot of fun, and I hope the fans had some fun too.
So, Cade, tell me this, because I've seen a lot of Deion Hankins throughout my time. I've covered him throughout his high school career, and I've seen him at UTEP since he started. You've been around him. Now this is the second season that you've been a part of the team, but he had 24 carries and 174 rushing yards. I thought he was his best that he's ever been at that running back position. And granted, it's against Incarnate Word, but still, he was running angry, like a lot of people have self-described for Deion Hankins, and a sharp performance by the Parkland standout and the local fan favorite.
Yeah, Deion practices how he plays, and Deion continues to lead by example for our team. He's one of the hardest workers in the building, and I think that just goes to show. He's carrying guys, 10, 20 yards downfield tonight. He's putting the team on his back, and that's the type of leadership out on the field that you need in order to go put big drives together.
Okay, Cade, I need to ask you, real quick, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to MinerTalk, brought to you by the Oscar Ideate Agency here on 600 ESPN El Paso.
From hometown to national, sports spoken here. 600 ESPN El Paso is KROT El Paso, a Town Square media station.
Continuing here on Miner Talk, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency, we have UTEP quarterback Cade McConnell on our hotline right now as we continue. Cade, as we talk about this UTEP football team, paint the picture for our listeners. What's the scenario of the Miners going into Northwestern and giving the Wildcats a really good game? That's a Big Ten opponent right now that's carrying a lot of baggage underneath them, and what happened over the offseason, obviously. We don't have to get into that, but I want to ask you, give me the best case scenario for the Miners going on the road into a Power 5 environment like that, and maybe doing something that they've never done in their school's history, win a game against a Power 5 team.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any team that can do it, it's this team. And the message after the game was, good win, good solid win, great execution. But let's go out, have our best week of practice, and let's prepare like we're going to go out and take it to Northwestern. I mean, that's everybody's goal. And like I said, if there's any team that can do it and beat a Power 5 team, it's this team right here. So I can tell you what, our guys are locked, loaded. We're ready to go and focused to try to get another win.
Hey, congrats again. I'll let you enjoy this one. I appreciate you calling in, man. We're going to have to ask you, win or lose, to call in more often. It's always good to hear from a player's perspective, and enjoy this one. You all earned the win here tonight, 28-14 against Incarnate Word.
Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll see you back in person again soon.
All right, we'll see you soon, Cade. Hey, that's Cade McConnell, UTEP quarterback, joining us on the phone lines as we continue. Let's keep things moving. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009. We're also available 600 ESPN El Paso everywhere on social media. That is 600 ESPN El Paso everywhere on social media. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's welcome in the president of the UTEP Haters Club. That is Augustine. Augustine joining us on the phone lines right now. Good evening, good Augustine. What's going on?
Thank you, my loyal subjects, and I appreciate the president thing. That's good, Adrian. But, Adrian, here's the thing. Northwestern is going to do the same thing that UTEP did to Incarnate Word. They're just going to beat them up at the trenches, and just Northwestern is too big. They're Power 5. They're a better – I'm not going to say a better team. They're just physically bigger, stronger, faster than UTEP at the current time.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you. I'm going to just give you some basic softballs here, Augustine. I've talked about this a lot on the show. I'm just going to ask you point blank. What conference is Northwestern in?
Oh, God.
Okay. Well, who's their coach? Who is their coach?
Oh, hold on. I'm not being questioned here. I'm questioning you. No, but seriously, Agent, what's the weight difference?
Wait, no. I'm just asking you your knowledge of Northwestern football, because you're trying to give me a breakdown of, they've got big guys, they got guys in the trenches, and maybe that's true. I mean, I can go guy for guy for you at Northwestern and tell you which guys they have an advantage over the Miners right now. But the point is, Augustine, we haven't seen this team play a football game. They play tomorrow. They kick their season off tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So we'll know a little bit more about Northwestern football tomorrow versus tonight. We don't know anything as far as their football program amid all the baggage that they're coming into the season following a hazing scandal with their previous coach, Pat Fitzgerald.
The hazing thing, I think, that happened all the time before, and I think it's just, people are starting to get a little bit, it was, I think, against a Hispanic player that was the thing that they got going. And
dude, you're digging yourself a deeper grave right now. I don't know where you're going with this conversation here, but we'll continue to crown yourself as the king of the UTEP haters crew. And next time on the phone lines, just make sure you know that Northwestern's a part of the Big Ten. I've been saying it all show, man. The Big Ten is where Northwestern's at. Augustine, I appreciate the phone call, man. Next time we'll be better at it. If I had to rate this phone call, I'd probably have to go 3 out of 10. It was not a good phone call whatsoever, but hey, next time we'll be at it, Augustine. And you're the president of the UTEP Haters Club, so at the end of the day, you were happy to get that honor there. And that's pretty much all that we could say as we continue. Our telephone number, 915-505-6009, 600 ESPN El Paso, everywhere on social media. Let's hop out and let's reach out to George, who's joining us next. George, good evening, man. Thanks for hanging with us late. What's going on?
Well, Adrian, I was watching the game flying in from Dallas, and I saw the first part of it. I was in the air. and so I didn't get a chance to catch most of the game. I was pretty disappointed with ESPN Plus because I was watching it online as soon as I jumped off the plane, and there was no audio. There was horrible camera work. It was just it looked like a monkey was taking care of this show, and it was just it disappoints me to hear people knock this team down. They're like the Rodney Dangerfield of football. You know, you can't win for losing and you can't lose for winning. You know, great. I mean, we got to win. People, you know, you got to remember these are young boys, young men, and Dana Dimmel, he's going to make mistakes. He's not perfect. Let's get on the bandwagon and support them, because that's what they need. They need to know that his whole community is behind them. I mean, come on. It's really disappointing to hear people knock like Augustine did right now, you know, and he's knocking on UTEP, not even knowing, he has no knowledge of what he's speaking of, only to say that Northwestern has bigger players. Who cares? It's not how big you are. It's what you bring to the table. And if they prepare the way they did this week, and they stick to the same game plan and do something about it, don't stray away from it, even though it's gonna be a little more impossible, they can do it. It's not a feat that can't be done. You know, it's just we as a community, we got to stand behind them. You know, these kids, you know, they try their heart out, and all they need is our support. So, Adrian, you'll see me next week at the district if that's where you're hosting the watch party, because I'll be there. I'll be there, Adrian, because I love this team. Dana Dimmel disappointed me last week. Hey, they bounced back. They showed resilience, and that's all that really matters. Burgess played a hell of a game. The defense kind of got me scared in the beginning, but, hey, they adjusted. They came back and played a pretty decent game. I mean, 600 yards. What more can you ask for? Yes, it's an FCS team, and they're going up to the next level. But hey, let's give them some credit. You know, what do you think, Adrian? I mean, am I just, you know, talking just to talk, or do you agree with me?
No, you're right. You're spot on. And hey, George, I appreciate your phone call, man. You're always bringing some good perspective to the table here with us on the show. I think it's about seeing some of their inexperienced players shine, like Torrance Burgess. We kept hearing about it all offseason long. He's going to be productive. He's going to help out. He's going to make an impact on this UTEP team. But until you see it on the field on a Saturday evening in front of another team, that's when you have that kind of belief. That's when the belief takes another step in that. And I think there's still some position groups I want to see more of. I want to obviously see more from the wide receivers, and they didn't need to show off anything today. They didn't need their wide receivers to be sharp or anything like that. But I want to also see more from their special teams. I thought they kind of struggled at points in today's game, so maybe we see more from them. But just to see the inexperienced players get more experience on the field. I loved what Dana Dimmel also talked about in the postgame about the secondary and how guys like Amir Boyd Matthews, Latrell Shelton, who had the game-ending interception, guys like, Josiah Allen, who had 2 pass breakups. Man, this guy was killing it in this game. Torrey Richardson, granted, he had 2 pass interference penalties in this one, but he fought hard in this game. They were without Kobe Hilton in their secondary, and they had to step up with guys like A.J. Odoms, guys like Oscar Moore. I mean, players who are just rotating in and out in that secondary to try to step up and make a difference. Trajan Huey. Tell me the last time we had a Trajan Huey conversation, man. And this man played exceptionally well in the secondary, filling in for Kobe Hilton. I really think, when we're talking about guys who had that inexperience going into the season, trying to get more experience but actually play well, I'm looking at the secondary, I'm looking at the defensive line, I'm looking at the running back group, and those are the place and areas that shine to me.
Yeah, I don't want to take all the credit on this one, but if you go back to the Miner Talk preview podcast, I shouted out Trajan Huey. I thought he was someone who can make a difference this year, and he did that today. Dana Dimble talked about, or Tyrese Knight actually talked about in his post-game conference. He said, Trajan Huey making that open field tackle, first series of the game, that was a tone setter for them. It set the tone that, they were going to come out, be aggressive, and get stops. So, it's good for him to step up, and like you said, Josiah Allen really stepped up, and I think he won that slot cornerback role, over Elijah Johnson, who did give up a touchdown today. He didn't play bad, but Josiah Allen played great. So, a lot of takeaways in that secondary.
And I think you're going to have hot and cold days from everybody. Elijah Johnson, great game last week. This week, it's Josiah Allen at that nickel corner spot. You're going to have hot and cold games from guys who still just need more playing experience, more, experience on the field. But Trez Moore, Latrez Shelton, I probably have butchered his name a million times since he made that name change. But, man, I thought he played pretty impressively tonight, and I'm excited about that UTEP secondary moving forward. We got a line ringing in, 915-505-6009. If you want to follow up George's call, we're also available 600 ESPN El Paso on social media. Sal, give it to me. You tell me about what you noticed from UTEP. Just some of the younger players or some of the players who maybe are coming onto the scene as newcomers shining here tonight.
I see a lot of them attacking, as quick as possible in a quicker reaction time than we've seen in recent years. So to see that from newcomers is awesome, especially when you mention guys were being rotated often, and it's kind of like you're not missing a beat. Now, I get it. It's Incarnate Word, all that stuff, but we saw signs of improvement today that we didn't see, last week where they performed well. And they also did better in some instances where people wanted them to do well. They wanted them to run the ball better. What did they do today? Right? They wanted them to finally get a turnover. What did they do today? And they had a lot of chances for more turnovers as well. So I think that'll start to pick up. But they hurt last week and, definitely improved.
So 6 of 9 on third downs, that's something they wanted to improve on, and they did. If you wanted to knock some certain things for UTEP, 11 penalties for almost 100 yards today. That's not obviously a good thing. And then time of possession, that was strong, 35 minutes to 24 minutes for UTEP in their favor. I mean, that's significant in itself. Miners had a tackle and 4 tackles for losses, so they did a good job of getting in the backfield against Incarnate Word, although they allowed a sack on their side, which is kind of, that doesn't really happen with UTEP at all. So definitely something to kind of keep an eye out for moving forward. Hey, let's go to social media real quick. Tristan Pence. Didn't get a chance to say his name, but happy that he's checking in. A good win for UTEP tonight. Despite some penalties, the Miners gave a sound performance. UTEP's recipe for winning this season is running the ball and winning the game's time of possession. UTEP has some great depth at running back this year. #MinerTalk. Love the part in the postgame, Sal, when Dana Dimble's talking about how he decides to rotate running backs in and out. And he explained that it's actually associate head coach and running back coach Barrick Neely who decides the running back distribution. So let's say on third and short, UTEP wants to run. Well, Neely will call Deion Hankins in. Or let's say it's a 1st and 10 from their own 42-yard line. Neely could call Torrance Burgess in the mix. I like that. I mean, we know that, of course, Dana Dimble has all the play calling duties, but when you talk about personnel duties, there's other coaches involved with that, and it actually makes me feel better about their offense moving forward, knowing that you've got eyes on the personnel who will be in the system, and you could trust that you've got a good mind looking at that running back rotation and feeding the right people at the right time.
Yeah, and that decision to pick who runs becomes a lot easier when you have a backfield that performed the way that they did today. Right. So that's definitely something to look forward to. And the offensive line just continuing to pancake guys. So, obviously the success of the running backs is contingent on how the offensive line performs. And man, Man, did that offensive line do great today.
Yeah, I mean, I liked all their offensive linemen. There was maybe one guy who I circled, and I was like, I'm a little worried. I'm not going to say his name, but I'm a little worried about him moving forward. But he's a newcomer. He's not somebody that you're really too concerned about. I can live with the line today and what they were able to do. Cesar Cubillos followed up his post by saying this: "Not sure if you caught the many looks of Pater Pete today." And threw out a photo of Pater Pete in the band uniform. That was really cool in itself. This is coming in from J Rios 04. Touchdown Tyron Smith, hashtag MinerTalk, and sent us a video of it. Alfonso Frias. Credit to UTEP for establishing the run and sticking to what was working. We also need to give some love to Babe Laufenberg, too. The guy has been UTEP's biggest supporter these last 4 years. Hashtag MinerTalk. Great point that he brings up. I want to give a lot of credit to Babe Laufenberg and what he did today, guys. We saw the Live Like Luke section at UTEP today. That's right. Babe Laufenberg purchased tickets for people today. In fact, he donated 50 tickets with hot dogs and a soft drink for every UTEP home game. This week, they donated it to the El Paso YMCA, the Live Like Luke fight section. How cool is that, guys? I'll get all your all's thoughts. This is a magnificent thing for Babe Laufenberg and his son Joe Willie to do in honor of Luke Laufenberg, who played for the Miners and tragically passed away due to cancer. They still, year after year, season after season, find a way to honor him on the field and honor him with UTEP football.
Yeah, and it lets you know what's important right away. Family is number one, and Babe and the Laufenberg family certainly haven't lost sight of that. And also, too, it's nice for this is one of the highlights as well. Luke coming to UTEP and practicing, building that camaraderie. It doesn't fade out. It's always going to be there. So I really, really like this gesture.
Zay, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is awesome. They were on the sideline, and even after the game, they're congratulating the players. They're coming up, they're going up to the players, Babe and his son, and they're just telling them, great game. They're out there supporting, and it's just great to see, that name has made such a difference in the UTEP locker room.
Let's go to Miner Eddie Mack, who's joining us next on the phone lines, 915-505-6009. If you'd like to weigh in on the show, 600 ESPN El Paso, all over the web, online, social media, online, and our free mobile app powered by First American Bank. Miner Eddie Mack, welcome back. What's going on?
How are you?
Oh, Ed, how did you need to take a little break and then rejoin MinerTalk? Like, I need to know your journey. I'm okay. I'm hanging in, but what's your journey?
You want me to be really honest with you?
Yes. I want you to be honest with us.
There's some people on Twitter. This started last year. That I guess pessimism just got to me.
I hear you, man. There's a lot of UTEP fans like you.
And I'm more of a positive optimist. I'm an optimist, and I've been around for a long time, and I've been supporting the program. So to me, I'm always going to look for the positives. And just having 30,000 people at the second game of the season after you lost the first game, that's momentum. However you want to look at it, it's momentum. If you want to be negative about it, you can be negative. But the way I look at it, it's momentum. It's a lot better than sitting there and seeing 17,000. It's a big difference. So,
100%.
I wanted to make that point. I just wanted to focus on one thing because there's a lot of positives to the game. But I just want to focus on one thing. I like the fact that we now have 3 running backs. And Burgess has been great. He's been amazing. But I also look at Franklin. I mean, Deion Hankins is the man. But also Mr. Franklin here has also been a contributor. And I like the fact that we have 3 running backs, and each one of them is giving us a different dimension. And I'm excited about that because if somebody gets hurt, I know that we've got a backup, and they're all getting experience. They've all been impressive, even though it's only been 2 games. I just wanted to make that point.
I think it's a great point, man. Mike Franklin is also their go-to guy in Wildcat situations, too. It's either Deion Hankins or Mike Franklin, and sometimes they like... So, look, Deion Hankins, north-south runner. He's going to be the bulldozing type of running back. I think he's faster this year than he's ever been before. He has he's added that agility and speed to his game, but what Torrance Burgess brings is speed. He bursts out of the backfield, he's noticeable out of the backfield, and he can also shake off hits. Mike Franklin's kind of a little mix between Hankins and Burgess. He has a burst to him, he has speed, but he could also be that north-south running back that you need and be that ground and pound back that you can really appreciate. Now, Miner Eddie Mack, what I'm interested in is UTEP's running back group next year, because think about it. Hankins can be back. You could have Torrance Burgess a year older and a year of experience under his belt. Mike Franklin back, a year of experience, a year of production under his belt. Cartraven Walker in the mix with experience and learning the playbook under his belt. Ezel Jolly, freshman standout, who can also be a contributor right away in the running back group. You might think I'm crazy, but then the last name that everybody forgets about is Aaron Dumas, the Washington transfer who was an all-conference running back at New Mexico at the freshman level, was honored as an all-freshman running back at New Mexico, transferred to Washington, now finds himself here in El Paso with the Miners. That running back group can legitimately go 5 players deep next year, Ed.
Well, that would be actually considered one of the most talented running backs in college football. If you're just looking at what they've done and their development, because you got to remember Ronald Awatt, he just kept getting better year after year, and I'm looking at a guy right now that reminds me of Ronald Awatt, and last year we had a great combination too with Ronald Awatt, Deion Hankins, and then we had that little fullback that I love
James Tupou,
guy.
Yeah.
Man, I miss that guy so much. He was such a spark plug. But, there's one thing that we overlooked and we didn't talk about this year, and that's that the execution and the shifting and the movement in Dimmel's offense and learning that offense. And I saw a lot of that last year, and I'm already seeing it this year, and I think we're just going to get better at that. I'm a firm believer in knowing the system and executing, and I thought it was pretty smooth. Yeah, we had mistakes here and there, but I think most of our penalties were on the defensive side tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're exactly right on that.
Anyhow, I'm excited about next week's game. We really needed this, and I think 30,000 people in the stands is momentum. However you want to break it down, it's momentum. It was a beautiful night, and we needed this. So let's keep on moving forward.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Ed. I know it was tough for you to stave off all the haters, man. You got to be like Deion Hankins, like pushing them off with that, that stiff arm that he has. That's how you need to be, Ed, and just block out the haters, man. You do you.
Well, you don't understand. I mean, it gets to the point where I'm just like, I want to go for I don't know. It's just, pessimism is not a good thing in our society, however you look at it. But anyhow, it is what it is, right?
Okay. Facts from Miner Eddie Mack tonight as we wind things down and we continue in the wee hours of the night. 915-505-6009. Ed, I appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for weighing in. I want to get to the drive chart and wrap up first half, second half thoughts. I also want to get to awards here as well. We'll get final thoughts from Zay, final thoughts from Sal as well. And we will look ahead to UTEP versus Northwestern. We'll do all that. We'll wrap things up, and we'll take your phone calls. If you've got anyone with any phone calls left here on the show, we're happy to do it. 915-505-6009. That's our telephone number to get into the show. Also available everywhere on social media at 600 ESPN El Paso. Take a break right here. We'll be back after this. Miner Talk continues, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency, only on 600 ESPN El Paso. All right, last segment, Miner Talk continues. We're presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency. Big shout out to Sal Montes, Zay Galindo, Angel Munoz, Jason Craig, our whole team here at 600 ESPN El Paso for putting a long day of work here in the bag. And, man, what great work from everybody here on the station. So shout out to you guys. You guys killed it as always. We are in it. It is football season. We'll sleep in May. We'll sleep in May after the basketball season. Well, that's when we'll finally get a chance to sleep. And Sal, maybe you'll sleep in 4 years, 5 years when Samir's like 5 or 6 years old. Yeah, that sound about right?
Oh man, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, I like it. Let's wind things down, and let's go to social media. Adrian at Enemy Win 3 sends us this. Adrian, great job calling Augustine's bluff. He doesn't know squat about Northwestern. No, Adrian, I will disagree with you because Augustine just sent us this. Here's the gist on Northwestern. They're a Big Ten school. Fitzgerald is gone, and in football, size does matter. Come on. It's a program that's going through stuff, yes, but they're in a different league. Bigger, better, faster. He's just adding to that presidential award. He's trying to go for a second term, and he's trying to get that re-election as biggest UTEP hater right now. Jonathan Byers sends us this. This is what he had. Stephon Cameron really stood out to me on special teams tonight. He had a couple big hits. Player to watch. That's Stephon Cameron from Jonathan Byers. So that's what he sends us. David Braun, this is from Cesar Cubillas. David Braun has never coached a game in his life, and Northwestern is Big Ten, but no Ohio State. Northwestern completely stunk last season at 1-11 and lost at home to Duke and Southern Illinois. Not guaranteeing a win, Caesar writes, but he says if UTEP ever had a chance to beat them, it is now. That's coming from Cesar Cubillos. Let's go to our man, the mayor of Las Cruces. It's Eddie Morelos, who's joining us next on the phone lines from the Sports and More podcast. Eddie, we are now finally getting a chance to hook up here tonight. What's going on, my man?
Oh, made it back home, from the Sun Bowl Stadium. Really cool to see all the people in the stadium once again. It's like that one caller said, 30,000, take it how you want, but hopefully they keep showing up. And for me, I hope the people keep showing up because it always makes the environment so much better. It always makes the night so much more fun when the fans are there because not only do they bring the energy, but fans become entertaining just as much as the game, So that's why I like it. I really do, but I really want to bring up, as far as the game goes, multiple people have already said it, but the running game, they use the running game as we've all wanted them to use it over the past couple of years. They finally used it the way we would have liked them to use it. And for me personally, Adrian, as you know what I do during the game, so just looking through the binoculars and seeing them run the ball like they did, it was really, really neat to watch up close and personal, especially number 5, I believe his last name is Burgess.
Correct.
It was really awesome. I never noticed how he ran the ball, how good he runs the ball until tonight. It was really awesome to see. I know our boy Dion, did it up big tonight, but for me personally, I really enjoyed watching Burgess run the ball. And if they can do that more consistently, it'll open up the pass game. And I'm going to give a prime example is I believe it was later in the game, and definitely in the second half. They were marching down the field, and it was inside the 20 already, and all of a sudden they do a play-action pass to get down to the 3-yard line. It was so open because the running game opened it up.
Yeah, that was a simple 15-yard pass from Gavin Hardison to Kelly Akari, and that set up a 5-yard rushing or a 3-yard rushing touchdown right after that for Mike Franklin. That was his first career touchdown. But you're exactly right, Eddie. I mean, that drive was an indication right there. They just had Incarnate Word's number at that point. And Eddie, I'm with you completely on the attendance thing, and I'm with you on the environment of the Sun Bowl. It's better when it's obviously there's more people there. But Eddie, I got to ask you your final question and final point that you wanted to bring up on the show, and that is an Aggie wearing UTEP gear. What are your thoughts? Give me your thoughts on this.
Well, I do it to support my people that I help out over there.
I'll be straight up and honest. I do it to support them. And I never thought I would do this, but here I am. And I still have it on as we speak, Adrian. I thought it would have been off the moment I walked out the stadium, but no, I still have it on. Picks up. I've really been bought into the Miners. I know a lot of Miners now, and it's really cool to be a part of the El Paso community. And I love how the people buy in and come and support. There's more supporters than haters. Sometimes I do want to jump on the Augustine bandwagon, but I'd rather be supportive than anything.
Okay, Eddie, I appreciate your phone call, man. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend as well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Much love to Salmonella love too.
Yo, what's going on, Mayor? Love you, man.
That's our man, Eddie Morelos, joining us on the phone lines as we continue from the Sports and More podcast. Check him out for sure, wherever you are on social media. Hey, let's continue right now. Let's keep it moving. Let's talk first half, second half. You guys give me your final thoughts. Then we'll give out some awards. We'll read out final messages, and we'll put a wrap on this one. Okay, first half. Early punts on both sides. Incarnate Word. It was Zach Calzada's touchdown pass, 44 yards out. Brandon Porter helps him go up 7-0. Well, UTEP responds. It was a 40-yard rushing touchdown by Torrance Burgess. 7-7 was the score. First quarter action. All right. Really like this defensive stop, by UTEP's defense. Incarnate Word drove it all the way down to the UTEP 2-yard line. 4th and goal. Trajan Huey had a pass breakup, stop at the 2-yard line. The play right before that, nickel, Josiah Allen with a pass breakup as well. It was really significant. Back-to-back plays shut down. UTEP's defense shut them down there as they drove all the way to the 2-yard line. Zay, you have some thoughts there.
Yeah, I was really impressed with not only that goal line stop, but I think in like a lot of short yardage situations, I think UTEP won a lot of those. Whether it's on the offensive or defensive side of the ball, they won those short yardage situations. And obviously the secondary, they did their part on that goal line stop, 2 pass breakups. But I really like the trenches on both sides for the Miners.
So after that goal line stop for UTEP, they were not able to move the ball offensively. Incarnate Word capitalized off a 61-yard pass from Calzada to Chapman. Gosh, that Chapman receiver, oh my goodness, man. That guy's D1. I don't even know who he is. Jalen Campbell, very impressed with that guy. Also really impressed by Brandon Porter, who was outstanding. I mean, he played against the Miners with Northern Arizona 6 seasons ago.
Yeah.
He's a 7th-year college football player, and he's still playing some college football. A.J. Odoms on that 61-yard passing play, he bit. He tried to jump on that pass, and as a result, right after that, Trey Siggers, the running back for Incarnate Word, had a 5-yard rushing touchdown. They went up 14-7. Then UTEP had their most impressive drive up to this point to go out of the half. A 10-play, 78-yard drive that lasted almost 6 minutes, and it was capped off by a Gavin Hardison pass to Justine Clark from 13 yards out. That put the Miners up. Tie game, 14-14 going into half. Calzada looked great going into halftime. 10 of 18 through the air, 188 passing yards, and a touchdown for Incarnate Word. But the UTEP run game was the story in the first half on their side. 20 rushing attempts, 155 on the ground, and a rushing touchdown. Tyrese Knight went into the half with 8 tackles and 1.5 tackles for loss, and I kind of thought, ooh, this could be a career day for Tyrese Knight. It ended up being the case. He had 16 tackles, career best for Tyrese Knight. Third and fourth quarter, you guys jump in whenever you'd like. 12-play, 75-yard drive that lasted 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's already our new Start Homes drive of the game. I don't have to have a debate. That was one of the best UTEP drives I've seen in a while. That dates all the way back to when they had success back in 2021, and that was capped off by a 24-yard passing touchdown from Gavin Hardison to Tyron Smith. He had some really nice jukes on that touchdown catch in itself. Shook off a defender, used his speed, and that's the Tyron Smith that UTEP was waiting for, Sal.
Yeah, the play extender. He could have easily just caught it, got his quick couple of yards, get up, get ready for the next set of downs, but saw that there was room. He was able to put some moves and take it to the house, but a couple of things too. One is kind of re-energizes the crowd at that point. And on top of that, after that touchdown, Adrian, back-to-back drives, and we're not going to count the drive to close out the first half. I don't think that's fair. It's only like 18 seconds. But either way, though, those back-to-back touchdown drives, about 14 minutes worth of play clock that they were able to take off on essentially back-to-back possessions. They blew out a whole quarter and they ended it with a 14-0 run in that specific scenario.
And when you take control like that in your UTEP, you feel good about yourself. You think that you could actually win a game there. And Incarnate Word, they only had 2 drives in the third quarter. They drove near the 50. They ended up punting right around the midfield at this point, and it was a Josiah Allen, another pass breakup by him. He had just a really good performance. At this point, Incarnate Word had just 14 yards of offense in the second half. Really struggled to get any sort of offense going. Then UTEP responded with a 12-play, 96-yard touchdown drive, capped off by that Mike Franklin touchdown that I just mentioned. 28-14 was the score. Incarnate Word drove it all the way down into UTEP territory, under 3 minutes to go, and it was an interception, and that was taken by Trez Moore to seal this one up when it was all said and done. Let's go to some superlatives, guys. Deion Hankins, career day, 24 carries, 174 on the ground. But, guys, he does not get my hot hand of the game. Hot hand of the game has to go to Tyrese Knight, 16 tackles. Everywhere on the defensive end for what he was able to do. He totaled a sack, had 2.5 tackles for losses, and he is our Win Supply El Paso hot hand of the game. Any problems with this from either of you guys? Are you guys okay with it? Deion Hankins not getting it, and instead Tyrese Knight getting the award?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I did not go into this game thinking I could get any higher on Tyrese Knight. I was like, after the Jacksonville State game, I was like, this guy's insane. And then after this guy, I said, this guy is insane. I mean, it was just a great game. He was all over the field, getting a sack from that linebacker position, and also, over 2.5 tackles for loss. I mean, he was everywhere. This is one of the best linebackers in the country.
Hey, El Paso is finally out of the triple digits, but you might still need to fend off the El Paso heat. Stay cool with Master Cool. Win Supply El Paso is an official distributor of Master Cool evaporative coolers, and they don't want you to sweat it out while you wait out for the temperature outside to finally cool off. Each Master Cool system is priced lower than the box stores with Win Supply. To find your nearest Master Cool dealer, visit the Find a Dealer tab at winsupplyelpaso.com. That's winsupplyelpaso.com. Let's head over to our New Start Homes drive of the game. We mentioned it. It was that long 96-yard, that 12-play, 75-yard drive that lasted 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and that one put the Miners with the go-ahead lead, and that's brought to you by New Start Homes. If you're looking for a mobile home or maybe just a tiny home to add to your backyard or that extra space at your home, New Start Homes has affordable builds starting at just $75 per square foot. No credit, no problem. They actually have a location out in El Paso and Las Cruces and an in-house financing team. Check out New Start Homes online, newstarthomes.net, to check out their fleet and their selection of inventory online today. Guys, let's turn the page. Let's look over to next week. It's a big one. Northwestern, UTEP. That one on the road, 1:30 kickoff. We'll have the watch party live at the district, and then we'll have Miner Talk right after the broadcast here on 600 ESPN El Paso. But you guys tell me. It's a big one. Northwestern against the Miners. Keys to this game. We'll start with you, Zay, as you wrap up your thoughts, and then we'll go to you, Sal, for some final thoughts here as we turn the page and look over to next week.
Yeah, it's hard to do some keys just because Northwestern has not played yet. They're going to play tomorrow against Rutgers. That'll be one UTEP fans probably want to watch, But other than that, it's just, for UTEP themselves, just stay cool, calm, and collected. Don't let the moment get to you, and just go out there and play your brand of football, right? you want to go in there with the chip on your shoulder, know that, hey, we're going to be the underdogs, but in reality, there's no reason we shouldn't win this game. So stay cool, stay calm, stay collected. That's the big message for me.
All right, Sal, you go ahead.
Oh man, I'm looking at it, and tomorrow's game is big for both Rutgers and Northwestern because combined, Adrian, if I'm not mistaken, that's 5. I'm just looking at it here. That's about a combined 16-game losing streak between the two. So both of these teams are pretty upset. But that being said, though, who knows what the Miners are going to see when they go up against Northwestern? Is it going to be the same team that went up against Rutgers? Is Rutgers, or not Rutgers, is Northwestern fighting with that same intensity against UTEP that they are against Rutgers to kind of, put the fire out, so to speak? Because Northwestern, man, looking at it here, riding a 10-game losing streak to, or 11-game losing streak to close out the season, they might want to, turn things around. But all of that stuff that happened in the offseason, how far back can that truly set a program?
No, it's going to be one of those games that everybody's going to watch. Everybody's going to have intrigue. There's going to be a lot of upset picks in favor of the Miners. And we'll just have to wait and see. Northwestern next Saturday. My keys include got to control time of possession, got to get good production from your quarterback, Gavin Hardison, today. Have to establish the run game and defensively hang in there with Northwestern despite maybe being a little undersized in some positions. But I'm excited for it. I think UTEP has an opportunity. I feel better about Northwestern than I do Arizona if I'm talking about a win for UTEP football. And let's see what happens. I'm ready to turn the page, look to next week. Let's go. UTEP right now 1-1 on the season. We'll be back at it next week. We got MinerTalk on deck. Guys, just thanks again. Great stuff. Great show today. We'll be back at it again next Saturday.
Let's do it again, man. Super excited, and early broadcast as well. So
thank goodness.
Yeah.
Love it. Hey, 1:30 kickoff, Zay. We'll get ready to go. What do you think?
Let's do it, and I'm ready.
All right, that'll do it for us here on the show today. For Zay Galindo, for Sal Montes, I'm Adrian Broadus saying so long, and thank you so much for listening to MinerTalk, presented by the Oscar Arieta Agency, only on 600 ESPN El Paso.